Welcome students to the second part of the lesson in your first flight textbook, A Letter to God by G.L. Fuentes. Let us begin this session by looking at the answers to the comprehension questions. First question was, where did Lencho live? Lencho lived on a crest of a small hill surrounded by a river and his golden cornfields. What did he hope for? Lencho hoped for a downpour or at least a shower. Why did he compare raindrops to new coins? Lencho compared raindrops to new coins as a rainfall would bring him new harvest of crops and thereby money to feed his family. How did the rain change Lencho's fields? Along with the rain, large hailstones began to fall. It rained hail for an hour and destroyed his crops completely. Who or what did Lencho have faith on? Lencho had unwavering faith on God. What did he do then? Thinking that only God can help him out of this situation, he decided to write a letter to God to send him 100 pesos in order to sustain for the rest of the year. What did the postmaster do then? The postmaster requested his employees to donate a part of their salary as an act of charity. He had thus collected 70 pesos, which he sent to Lencho with a letter signed God. The following Sunday, Lencho came to collect the money. The postmaster, with a sense of contentment for having done a good deed, handed over the envelope to him. Lencho did not show even a slightest surprise on seeing the money. Such was his faith and confidence on God. But when he counted the money, he was disappointed to find only 70 pesos. He was angry. In the same mood, he wrote another letter to God and went to the counter at the post office, affixed a stamp and dropped the letter into the mailbox. The postmaster soon went and opened it. It said, God, of the money that I asked for, only 70 pesos reached me. Send me the rest, since I need it very much. But don't send it through the mail because the post office employees are a bunch of crooks. And he signed Lencho. Now this was the irony in the story. The postmaster who went out of his way to help Lencho was accused of taking away the 30 pesos which Lencho assumed God had sent. Now if you notice, this story has two conflicts. Conflict number 1, man versus nature. What is a conflict of man versus nature? Lencho was expecting rain for his crops so that he will get a good harvest and earn enough money to feed his family. Just as he had anticipated, it started raining. He even went out to experience the nature's blessings. But soon, rain turned into a hailstorm and destroyed all his crops and left him devastated. There is another conflict in the story, man versus man. Let's see what it is. Seeing the unshakable faith in Lencho, the postmaster collected money for Lencho. He did not want him to lose his faith in God. The post office employees donated a part of their salary as an act of charity. But Lencho had such a blind faith in God that he did not recognize the kindness shown by the post office employees. He simply called them a bunch of crooks. Now, if you noticed, this lesson has a lot to do with metaphors. What are metaphors? Metaphors compare two things or two ideas. A quality or feature of one thing is transferred to another thing. Let's see some of the metaphors in this story. Clouds. How is the vastness of the clouds described in this lesson? It's mentioned as huge mountains. Raindrops. If you remember, Lencho mentions the curtain of rain, that is, the draping or covering of an area by a curtain. Hailstorms. The frozen pearls, the resemblance in color and hardness of a pearl. Locusts is described as plague of locusts. Plague is nothing but a severe epidemic. The consequence of destruction is compared to plague. Man. Lencho is compared to an ox. That is because he is a hard worker on the fields. The working of an ox in the field. He works as hard as an ox does in the fields. Now let's sum up this story. Lencho, an innocent farmer, lived with his wife and children on a hill. He cultivated corn. He waited for rains to get a good harvest. The rain soon turned into a hailstorm and destroyed his crops. He knew his family would go hungry for 1 year until the next crop. Having unwavering faith in God, he decided to write a letter to God asking for 100 pesos. The postmaster, empathizing with him, collected money from his employees and friends as an act of charity. He could collect only 70 pesos, which he sent to Lencho. When Lencho found out there was only 70 pesos in the envelope, he became angry and wrote another letter to God, demanding him to send the remaining money. He also wrote not to send the money through the mail, as the post office employees were a bunch of crooks. With this, we come to the end of the story. Hope you enjoyed and understood the lesson, A Letter to God. Thank you and have fun reading.